Dave Birkett here with Jeff Seidel after the Detroit Lions lost for the fourth straight time, Jeff. Seventh time in 8 games, this one to Washington, 1916. And look, I don't know where we go from here with the Lions. I mean, this is, they're a bad football team right now. They lost to a bad football team in Washington, and they might just be worse. Jeff Driscoll, 3 interceptions, Bo Scarborough, a fumble, couldn't get the defense to stop where they needed to, and now we're answering questions or facing questions about Matt Patricia's job security.
It's a team that's going nowhere. It's going backwards. They've lost 7 of 8. I know some people might say, boy, they're doing this without Matthew Stafford, but they were losing before he got hurt.
Yep.
I see no progress. 9-7 wasn't good enough, and now the best they can do, I believe, is 7-8-1. I don't know how he survives.
5 games left in this season. And, I'm with you. He's certainly facing an uphill battle. I think right now, Matt Patricia, I guess this is 27 games into his tenure as Lions coach. He has about the same winning percentage as Steve Mariucci did when Mariucci was fired after that Thanksgiving game, his 3rd NFL season. So that's not to say that Matt Patricia is going to be fired after that Thanksgiving game, but just to give you an idea of where things stand. We didn't see Martha Ford. I don't know if she was in the stadium today. She certainly was not down by the locker room afterwards. And Rod Wood, declined comment, asked some players about Matt Patricia's job security. They sort of gave some tepid, it wasn't this glowing like Matt Patricia is my guy. I need to fight for him. They sort of talked around the question. A couple of them did say, I'm playing for Matt Patricia out there, but it was just one of those things where I'm out of answers. I don't know where the Lions go.
Well, he says, it's obvious where the mistakes are, and so he can spot them, but that doesn't mean he knows how to fix them. And just because he was a coordinator doesn't mean he's a head coach. Just because he coached under a really good coach at New England doesn't mean he's going to be successful. He's not been successful to this point. I don't see how he stays. I don't know how Quinns stays because it's year 4, and we are not seeing progress. We're seeing a team that's spiraling backwards.
Well, I wonder if it might end up being a save-yourself situation. I mean, look, who knows what happens, right? 5 games to play. I am always of the belief that you let things play out. I don't like midseason firings or anything like that. I like to sort of, see what happens. But, I think the things that are most frustrating are that it's I don't know if it's not necessarily the same mistakes, but it's the same story over and over. Lions get a lead at some point. They can't hold a lead. They either don't make the big offensive play or defensive play. Every single week, it seems like we're talking about the exact same thing. And
but in this game, though, they fell behind early. They came back,
rallied,
and then fell apart. They lost to a quarterback who came in with the most god-awful numbers. That quarterback who was making his 3rd start drives him down for the tying field goal and then drives him down for the winner or the winning points. And it's like, this is against that.
And then he celebrated. He wasn't even around for the final kneel-down play because he's celebrating with fans in the stands, taking selfies. I mean, that's a clown show. You just lost to a clown show. The Washington is a clown show.
So what does that make the Lions?
That's a good. I mean, maybe it's the clown school. I don't know what it is exactly.
Well, that's where they are right now. I mean, this was a team that, again, 9-7 wasn't good enough. They're now just spiraling out of control, and I know there's injuries. But good teams have backups that can come in and contribute.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it's, let's rewind this a little bit, right? Like, Darius Slay got beat by Terry McLaurin on that, the all-important play, and he didn't have a great game. We can't blame Matt Patricia for Darius Slay struggling in coverage. Matt Patricia is not to blame for Jeff Driscoll throwing a terrible pick that leads to the game-winning drive. But, and this is, look, I gave Matt Patricia an F in my grades, so it's not like I'm absolving him of any blame. I'm just saying there's plenty of blame to go around, and at the end of the day, he is the overseer. I mean, this is his team, and it's his responsibility to get these things fixed. And the fact that we're, 11 games into the season, they still haven't been fixed, that's what's most frustrating.
And when your punt returner turns around and catches a ball going towards the end zone, catches it, takes it into the end zone, that's coaching. And I know he's not the normal punt returner, but still. And when I say Patricia, I'm talking the overall.
Yeah, right. I mean, his entire staff, everything. It certainly looked like Matt Patricia was calling the defensive plays today. He just refused to answer whether he was or not after the game. I mean, there was a substitution penalty that they had, a delay of game when the offensive coaches, it appeared, sent Terrell Crosby out late as the extra lineman. He came on the field with like 8 seconds left. They had to huddle up, explain the play. They get to the line of scrimmage, delay a game. So there was a lot that went wrong for the Lions today in all phases.
And
But they didn't give up a touchdown too. That's part of the maddening part. No, the defense did not allow a touchdown, and they still lose.
So it'd be one thing if they were just losing.
Yeah.
But where do you see any hope? Where do you see progress? Why do you think that next year is going to be any better?
Well, I mean, you don't see any progress right now, and that's the troubling thing for this regime. Now, again, I am not one for making rash judgments during the season. Hirings, firings, that sort of thing. I think that's something that you have to wait till afterwards. But yeah, I think if you just look at it objectively, I mean, coming off the Jim Caldwell years, when we all know what Bob Quinn said, 9-7 wasn't good enough, and it wasn't. Look, I think Bob was in his right to fire Jim Caldwell then. I mean, he wanted this team to take a big step forward. And if Martha Ford really wanted to keep Jim Caldwell, if she thought that much of him, she shouldn't have got rid of Martin Mayhew back when things were going really bad in the 2015 season. So, maybe that's where it all started. If she still wanted, Jim Caldwell, because Bob Quinn had no attachment to Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell did not win here. He won, but not enough. So there was no reason to get rid of him. But now, after going 6-10 last year, right now 3-7-1. This is a step back season again.
And by making that change 2 years ago, or less than 2 years ago, it shouldn't buy an extra year for him. That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't extend a honeymoon period. I get how frustrated the fans are. I'm hearing so many emails and tweets talking about making some kind of statement at the Thanksgiving game. And do I think that will make some kind of change? No. But, I mean, somebody said, have everybody stand up and turn around at kickoff. Just... I understand the
don't go. That'll make a bigger impact, a bigger statement.
I mean, spend time with your family, people. But do I think that's going to matter? No, but I agree with sending a statement to Martha Ford.
Well,
that this is not acceptable and mediocrity should not be
See,
embraced.
I think she knows this is not acceptable. I mean, there's no doubt. Like we've seen really since last year. I don't know that this has happened every game, but it's certainly when the Lions win. Martha Ford makes an appearance. She talks to Matt Patricia after games down by the locker room. When they lose, she hasn't been making those appearances. Her and the Ford family take off. I mean, I think they've spoken in other ways. You asked the question about Bob Quinn and what role does he play in this? Look, certainly the entire regime is at fault here, right? This is not just a Matt Patricia show or not just a Bob Quinn show or not just about injuries or the defense or anything. Everyone plays a part in the blame. I will say this, though, just to play devil's advocate here a little bit. I think Bob's biggest failing as GM is that he hasn't got any of those blue chip type, real cornerstone players. I mean, they don't have that guy that you absolutely need to game plan for, offensively or defensively. I think Bob has done a decent job with some of his, the mid-round picks like Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay's a stud. It didn't show tonight because Jeff Driscoll's throwing him passes. I think Tracy Walker was having a really nice season. I think the parts are greater than the what is it? The sum of the whole is greater than the parts. Well, in this case, it's the parts are greater than the sum of the whole on defense. Like I think they have more defensive talent than what they've shown. They shouldn't be at least, one of the three worst defensive teams in the NFL. So I think Bob has done some good things, but for some, this hasn't clicked. I mean, he certainly is part of the blame too. And again, the big failing, you need to have some of those real blue chippers here in the NFL, and be it through the draft or free agency. He hasn't landed those guys yet.
And I know these games are close, but that doesn't mean anything in the NFL to me. This league is built on everybody having a shot every couple of years. It's built on these games close for Vegas. But you know what I mean? So losing close games, to me, a great coach can lift people above that.
Agreed. The law of averages just says at some time when you're leading in all 11 games that you're going to make the play. Something's going to happen down the stretch where you win, and the Lions have not done that. Look, they've had this will be their second month-long losing streak because when they lost 3 games earlier this year plus the bye, they went about a month without a win, if I remember right, from that. What was it? The Eagles game in Week 3 until the Giants game, and now the Giants game was October 27th. They don't play again until the 28th. So that's two. They've gone 2 months without wins here in the season. It's not something.
And then if they lose at Thanksgiving,
yeah,
and then you have that 10 days off,
right? Well, look, I said last week with Carlos that this game today and Thursday's game against the Chicago Bears were crucial for Matt Patricia's future, were crucial for this Lions regime. They came out and laid an egg today. Again, 3 interceptions, a fumble. The offense just wasn't clicking. The defense couldn't get stops late, even though it didn't allow touchdowns.
Mistakes on special teams.
Huge mistakes on special teams. This was a terrible loss for this team, for this regime, and it could have consequences that reverberate in the weeks and months ahead.
But on a happy note,
it's almost Thanksgiving. We get maybe 3 days off unless something happens.
You're gonna have a fun January.
Don't make me think about that. So, you just made me sad. So I'm gonna get out of here on that note because the Lions fall to 3-7-1, another loss, their 4th straight here at FedEx Field. For Jeff Seidel, I'm Dave Birkett, Freep.com.